Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Kings of the North, our final day of the online broadcast. My name is Fear Dragon. I am joined by the wonderful Zombie Grub. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm having my, tea in a StarCraft mug.
That's solid. Well, I'll tell you what else is going to be happening that has a T. Well, actually, no, neither of these players' names have a T. Well, Terran, we have a Terran facing off versus a Protoss in our first match today. It is going to be Semper versus puCK, followed up by, unfortunately, no more Terrans after that. It's going to be Jim Rising versus Pili Pili, Zerg versus Protoss. And these are both going to be qualifying matches, since this is the last Kings of the North online broadcast. Not in the sense that there's not going to be any more broadcasts done online, but all the games are being played online right now. And the next series that will be played will be at the offline finals on October 14th and 15th. Should be very exciting. But that does mean that these, again, are qualifying matches to see who is going to get to go to the offline finals and who's going to be sitting and watching at home wishing that they could be there. These two series are going to be pretty important, as they will decide, again, the losers bracket, the two players that will make it there. Before we get started, I want to give a huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors that make Kings of the North possible. First of all, big thank you to, of course, Chairs for Gaming. If you guys want to get a DX Racer, much like mine, and I believe also Zombie Grub's chair, DX Racers, we both sit in our chairs a lot because we're both nerds that just sit at home a lot. We're going to just pretend and smile, Zombie Grub. But we both sit in our chairs a lot. I know I sit in my chair a lot. And of course, I definitely enjoy having this DX Racer. So if you guys are interested, check out Chairs for Gaming. But besides that, you can also use the promo code ESChamp and you'll get a little bit of a discount on your chair. We also have Asus ROG as another one of the sponsors. If you guys are looking for additional hardware that'll help you run StarCraft a little bit better, check out Asus ROG. And last but not least, Matcherino. Type !Matcherino in the chat. You can get a link to that Matcherino page. If you use the promo code KOTN4, you'll be able to add $1 to the prize pool without adding any money of your own. But if you are so inclined, we do have some pretty cool prizes, including a little coin that you can get for Kings of the North. Has a logo for it, with mouse pads, t-shirts, all kinds of awesome Kings of the North stuff. If you do decide to contribute a little bit more. But with that being said, Zombie Grub, Semper versus puCK. How are you feeling about this match?
Pretty good, but the last time I saw Semper play versus a Protoss, he did have to make battlecruisers against carriers, so I'm not sure what to expect from this one.
That's fair. You know, the last time I actually think I saw Semper play versus a Protoss, he took a game off of Neve at WCS Montreal, and he was one of the only players to do it. But that was also with a cheese that is really, really not usual for Semper, so I don't know how much we can be expecting anything crazy like that. But regardless, here we go. Starting up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have the green Terran player. Give it up for Semper from Root Gaming.
And in the bottom left has the red Protoss. He is Root puCK.
All right, and one final shout out to our wonderful observer and production person, Joe Logicide. Isn't that such a cool last name, Logicide?
Yeah, it is. I forgot he couldn't answer. I was waiting for his confirmation.
We could say whatever we want about his last name right now. He can't say anything about it.
That's true. I never really put a lot of thought into how to pronounce his last name. You know what I mean? Like I've just been like, yeah, it's Joe. Hey. So now I know.
Well, there is that, I guess, that he could do. Unfortunate.
Sad face. Well, talk about the game a little. Mentioned that last time I saw Semper was going battlecruisers against carriers. Of course, that is not exactly all of what I saw last time I saw Semper. I mean, he played 5 games after all against Scarlet, who was the Protoss. If you guys missed that, that was the qualifier for Montreal, and it was quite explosive. But he was looking good in the regular macro game, and that's the one game that he won. Actually, won 4 games. That's the one game that he won. And while puCK has been, I think, on some of the best mentality he's had since like his first day as a pro gamer, I do wonder how he's gonna, go up against Semper, who I really think is kind of in line to take the next North American, not title, right, but just the next up and comer. We had Masa, we had Neeb, and now Neeb's like amazing. And well, who's next after that? I put a lot of money on Semper.
Yeah, I think a lot of people really have their eyes on Semper. Even Scarlet and many of the other players I was talking to at Montreal were talking about how Semper is this player that if he actually just continued to invest a lot of time into StarCraft, he could really just be the next big North American player. But one kind of caveat to that is he is a full-time law student, which, as it sounds, law is kind of a hard degree to go for, and it does take up quite a bit of his time. I know that even actually lately he has been focusing a little bit more on school, and the only thing really keeping him actively practicing StarCraft right now is pretty much Kings of the North. So I'm interested to see kind of where his game state is going to be. He looked pretty decent versus Scarlet when we got to see him in the winners brackets. He did get 0-2'd, but he still looked pretty strong. I'm interested to see how his PBT is going to be going, though, as we do have puCK. Plays a little bit of an unorthodox style sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I know he still uses disruptors every now and then when like every other Protoss except M Canning has kind of just pushed them to the wayside. Maybe if it's super late game and they've already gotten for Colossus, but even then it's really fallen off. But certainly has a weird unique style. Semper, taking into account perhaps with this bunker at the front of his base, usually not a necessity for Terrans, but there have been a string of just, proxy pylons with a handful of gateways killing Terrans the most humiliating way possible, and that would take care of that.
Yeah, and it's worth noting, there was no Reaper opening. Semper hasn't really gotten too much. Oh, he did actually get the scout out on the Stargate, interestingly enough. Where are his Widow Mines going to be burrowed? Because that's going to be really key in helping to defend against the Oracle. Oh, he has one burrowed behind the starport.
He has one in his mineral line as well, so...
he's going to get it!
Yeah, nicely done.
That's
nicely
frustrating.
Done. Of course, the Protoss player, he's, waiting to the last second probably to check. And even then, a lot of times they do not check on the Oracle, and it does die to the Widow Mine in the mineral line. But certainly if he was planning on microing against that, didn't expect the one near the starport.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit annoying, but puCK keeps his second Oracle back at home and is actually just adding on a couple of gateways. Having that second Oracle alive is actually very, very important, and not only helping to deal with things like the Widow Mine drops and everything, but just keeping an eye on your opponent later on in the game. So I kind of like that he's being a little bit passive with it, just knowing that, hey, I saw a Widow Mine. There's a good chance that there's going to be a Widow Mine drop on the way. It'll help me with some detection. And I can still just tech up to Twilight Council instead of just rushing for a Robo.
Well, 3 Widow Mines might be difficult to deal with. There is no Mothership core still. There she pops now, so only one overcharge won't actually be able to kill the Widow Mines before they burrow, and she actually won't have a photon overcharge for the backside of this base.
Okay, well, gets one of the Widow Mines. The other Widow Mine does get taken out, and wow, only one worker going down.
Yeah, that was actually nicely handled. Of course, Semper kind of chose the wrong position, Sometimes you expect them all to have defense in the main base, so you just don't bother, and they really are just barren in the natural, but it actually would have been better in the main base. Even with the photon overcharge, I think 2 out of 3 would have burrowed instead of just 1 out of 3.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing I will commend puCK on that we didn't really get to see happen during that was that he actually had a second Revelation ready because he kept that second Oracle at home, because he wasn't going across the map and using its energy to try and get some damage done. Despite losing that first Oracle, he could have actually dealt with 2 different Widow Mine drop locations, but now he just gets to use that extra energy, throwing down the Revelation on top of all these Marines.
He dropped the Widow Mine to the left side. The Oracle's going to get popped. Oh, yeah, it's in the middle of the left. The medevac actually dropped the Widow Mine out, knowing where the Oracle was headed, and caught the Oracle. That was super well done. And puCK, well, he's down to 0 Oracles. If he actually wants to have Revelation, Detection, and map presence, he's going to have to remake one.
That's actually really nice. I love Semper for just the positional play and like the map awareness that he has of, okay, your Oracle should be around here. Let me unload the medevac. Let me just kind of cut it off and catch you. So, Marine Betty's Revelation does get caught by the Stalkers. No surprise there, since puCK has full vision of it. But these Stalkers are pushing really, really far in. And is he going to get caught by these? Okay, no. The Marines are not going to be able to get back in time.
He's going to have 6 gateways. And even without more production, just having Blink Stalkers on the front lines is a little scary for Terrans. You're still waiting for all of their upgrades. Definitely Stim to actually chase them down, but Combat shows them +1 as well. But obviously can't stay for very long. Sees that the drop is commencing a little before he has Stim. This might time out very well for Semper and very poorly for puCK.
This is definitely going to get a little bit strange. Although, just pure Blink Stalker with no photon overcharge is really going to be available at that third, since the Mothership Core is going to be busy in the main base, since there's a drop coming. 2 Widow Mines loaded up inside of it. If Semper times this out well, he may be able to pull puCK apart.
There it is in the main base. Unfortunately, Mothership Core had reacted, and it's fortunate too, because he probably expected, of course, the Mothership Core to go to the third base where he had shown his army moving. And when you scan, you also reveal kind of where your intentions are. Didn't think that would be in the main base. And now as his time is kind of running out here to actually just take on Blink Stalkers, Charge is on the way, and that Warp Prism is going to cause some type of harassment to keep him at home.
Yeah, we'll see how well Semper handles this. I do get a little bit worried for Semper as he moves into the later stages of the game, because the thing that I like about Semper, and he is a very macro-oriented player, so it's going to sound weird that I say I'm worried for him as he moves into the later stages of the game, but puCK is also a very micro-oriented Protoss player, and that's actually something that I think Semper sometimes struggles with. He has definitely shown that he struggles a little bit with disruptor shots and all kinds of just harassment that can really start to pull him apart, and he doesn't get the most cost-efficient engagements. But if he can just sit back comfortably and start kind of playing his, I guess, positional game a little bit better, that's when he really starts hitting his stride. But I just don't know if puCK is going to let him get there.
Well, that Viking was decently positioned. puCK could have like forced the issue, but then probably would have lost the Warp Prism. It might have been worth it though, if only he knew the entire army was just picked up. Semper specifically scanned looking for an observer, didn't see one, so he went for it, and that Oracle's way too late to detect it. There is an army and a lot of potent overcharges though.
Oh yeah, Stalkers also are going to have Blink available, but they do not want to Blink underneath that. That is a lot of bio. Potent Overcharge is definitely buying time though. And you can see that Semper is a little bit hesitant about just picking up. He does go after the Mothership Core, picks it off, almost gets the Immortal. Oh, gets really close to picking off that Immortal.
Yeah, 10 probes, a Widow Mine drop in the third base. I was going to say, I think he was up to 6. Yeah. When that attack happened, only brought 2. So where are the other ones being dropped? Finally finding that juice in center of the probe line, and even takes out, I guess, another Zealot there. No, that was the Warp Prism.
Oh,
he actually found the Warp Prism. I think that was very coincidental. I'm not sure he was chasing that one.
All right. Well, nice little win for Semper. And we do have those 2 Widow Mines going to be dealt with pretty handily by puCK. Although, might lose another worker. Not the end of the world. Photon Cannon finishes it up, and he kills off those Widow Mines. But his army is being pulled over to that third. Has to make sure that he's back in position to defend that fourth in time.
puCK's army just doesn't look very strong. It's on even upgrades, but 30 army supply down. It's been that way for a while, but certainly that attack in the main was pretty nice for Semper, comboed with the 10 probe losses that puCK did choose to replace. It's a very dangerous time. A couple of Liberators will take a lot of shots from the Stalkers. They'll die, but in doing so, the Stalkers have to blink forward and take a lot of fire.
Yeah, I mean, the army for puCK also doesn't really look that intimidating. He's got the 2 Immortals as power units, but everything else is not so much power unit. But, well, okay, there you go. Liberator's getting blunked underneath, but where is the real frontline tank for this army of puCK?
That one Liberator got a lot of extra shots, but look, this surround is pretty good. An Immortal went down, but the other 2 barely survived with very low health, and Semper is forced to get out of there. Now, he still keeps roughly a 30 army supply lead, but that was a nice positional advantage for puCK.
Yeah, and now puCK, having defended that, he's got that 4th base a good bit earlier on than Semper, who's just now finishing up his own 4th base, but is going to take a little while to get an orbital command up, to start moving it over to mining, and puCK is already being a little bit aggressive here.
This is probably the wrong move. He just simply doesn't have a lot of charge lots. The Blink Stalkers obviously will take care of the Liberator, and even, in a way, the Widow Mines, but they can't hold up against bio, even with the help of 2 Immortals.
Oh, man. A lot of losses over here for puCK right now. Loses both of the Immortals that you were talking about. And Semper charging on forward with that stimmed Bioforce. Now he can actually safely establish that 4th base. And you were talking about this earlier, but there really isn't a whole... Okay, there is a Templar Archives finished up for puCK, but we haven't really seen a High Templar warped in until just now. Storm is just starting up, so it feels like it's going to be a while before puCK can really take a direct engagement now.
Yeah, he made a lot of Stalkers. Of course, you want a certain amount, like a really decent amount. I've had to guess maybe like 10 or 12, right? To shoot down what is going to be 2, maybe 4 Liberators with every single push the Terran does. But then the rest of it's usually made into charge lots or depths, depending on what upgrade you got, or faster into Archons and High Templar if you're trying to be a little bit greedy. The fact that he went basically mass playing Stalker and then also thought he could be aggressive, well, obviously it was an error that he tried his best to rectify just by escaping as quick as possible. Still puts him down 40 in the armor supply as this fight happens, and he's about to be down in upgrades.
Okay, Semper is out for blood at this 4th base right now. puCK needs to make sure he's in the right position. Storm is not finished up. How can he really take an engagement against this army of Semper, especially with the Liberators there?
You see High Templars not morphed into Archons, you just have to assume they have Storm. And
okay,
it's not going to push forward. Storm is going to finish.
puCK going for a tactical pause. He wants to make sure that Semper is seeing the High Templar, not made into Archons. Because if he sees them, he'll think, oh, I need to be careful here because of Storm. Actually, you know, that's a fun thing that you don't really get to talk about that much in StarCraft, where there is the idea that your opponent doesn't necessarily know if you have an upgrade or not. You can kind of fake it out.
Yeah, you can. Like combat shields as well. If you see they have combat shields, you're like, oh, I'm going to take this fight, and it just pops. So then you make a grave mistake. The War Person was also taken out in the top right, thanks to that Viking once again. And the Liberators can still siege hop forward against the High Templars. Carefully, but they can do it.
Yeah, Storm is now finished up and has been revealed. Blinkstalker's blinking on forward, taking out that forward Liberator. Widowmine's actually getting some decent hits off on some of these Zealots, but the Zealots buy the time for the Stalkers to take out these Liberators.
And a Liberator almost got 1 High Templar instead it injured 2 of them. If only it had +2 flyer attack, or puCK had 1 less armor upgrade. And with that pushback, puCK will equalize the upgrades again.
Oh, that painful moment when you're reminded that a Storm cannot kill a Widowmine very easily. Oh, Ghost coming forward. Where are the EMPs? Oh, gets some big EMPs down, but not on the High Templar. On the Archons instead. Takes out one of them instantly.
And the Sentry, so no Guardian Shield, no Force Field. This is a big enough army that if this splits, well, you know, dodge first, split second, or EMP, I guess, first. But if everything else fails, you can still split against it all right.
Okay, Nexus is barely going to survive with next to no hit points left over. He has 3 hit points right now, Zombie Grub. And he is going forward. puCK is pushing this army back, but oh god, he's on a razor-thin edge right now, trying to keep that Nexus alive. Oh my goodness, Marine from the high ground tried to take out the Nexus.
There was a very, very small counter of a couple of Zealots because the War Prism just isn't working very well. It was cleaned up super easily from Semper. We can still just focus entirely on the front lines. More MPs went down, but still, unfortunately, missing all of these Storms. Semper just going with the same composition approach, not going for ranged Liberators.
Okay, well, the Nexus gets a little bit lower on health, but right now, puCK is starting to push forward a little bit further. The Archon's going to be adding in a lot of DPS, but it's just not enough. Semper takes game number 1 in this best of 3. That was a very, I mean, like, I have to hand it to puCK because I was surprised at how well he held on such a unusually fragile composition. Like you were talking about how many Stalkers he had. There's a reason why you don't usually see that many Stalkers in the later stages of the game, and that's because they just seem to disappear versus like Stim Bio, but he held on for a really long time with that.
He did. The fact that he's able to get Storm out too made it just that much longer, right? If he had not gotten Storm, if he hadn't warped in the High Templars, preempting that Storm, Semper would have actually just bull rushed him when he saw that the army looked like that. I think he was ready to, and then the Ghosts or the High Templars made him do a double take, and he pulled back and played the slow and steady game.
Well, we get ready to hop into game number 2. Remember, this is a qualifying match, loser's bracket, no more second chances. If Semper wins 1 more game, he's going to be moving on to that offline finals on October 14th and 15th in Toronto, Canada. But puCK is going to look to try and bring this back. He definitely didn't play too shabby and put up a really, really strong fight there, even if he was down in supply for a good amount of that game. He had the faster 4th base. He had some really strong tech, and it looked like he could have maybe turned that around. We'll see how things go on Interloper as we get the game going. But Cybergov, what are your thoughts on things that you'd like to see maybe different from puCK? Do you want to see a totally different style where he doesn't go so stalker heavy, or do you want to see just other adjustments?
Well, it's not the fact that he went for Stalkers first. It was the heavy part that I think, and consistent part too.
Yeah.
I think maybe, well, puCK is such a unique guy that I do see him play around with Blinkstalkers a lot, which really benefited in Heart of the Swarm. Maybe not so much in Legacy of the Void. But I think that you just have to acknowledge that they get worse and worse over time, and they're really only for anti-Liberator, which I don't know, he thought they'd actually work as a main composition, and they didn't. Semper immediately snapped that idea down.
All right, well, here we go. Hopping into game number 2. We're going to be starting down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. Top of the purple Protoss player. Give it up for puCK. Root Gaming.
In the top left, he is the green Terran, Root Semper.
I'm definitely a little bit sad that one of these players is not going to be at the offline finals, because two of them are just, both of these guys are two of my favorite North American players. Semper, I think, is just a guy who, whenever I get to see him in like a tournament, whenever I go cast a Cheesadelphia or Kings of the North or something, I always ask to be put on the Semper games because I know that they're always going to be exciting. Like, Semper gives good games when he's winning, when he's losing, whether it's one-sided or not. Like, there's always something interesting or fun about them.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Terran race. Your dragon.
That Terran bias right there, Zombie Grove. That Terran bias.
It truly exists. Yeah, I mean, these guys whoever wins will be joining Scarlet, Masa Neve, and Jon Snow, which are some very, very scary names.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Semper could actually do it. I'm still not sure about puCK. I brought up actually in the beginning of the first game that I think his mentality is the best it's been since he's been a pro gamer. Mm-hmm. The last year is really, I think, from him been spent on like figuring out what he enjoys and how to make the game not destroy him so much mentally. And he's done a really good job of it. He seems to really enjoy streaming. And even though he is streaming, kind of borderline streamer, it still seems to actually have improved his play, made him a little more consistent. Is it like as good as Semper though? Like, consistent is great, but it's like the baseline consistency, right? It's not quite those peaks that Semper has made.
Yeah, Semper is a very interesting character. If you look at his results, I wouldn't say that he's exactly inconsistent. Like, that's not the exact way I would put it, but he definitely has a lot of high highs and low lows a lot of the time. Like, when Semper's in form, you actually see him taking out not just like really good North American players, like go back to Nation Wars, taking out Zest, and even, yes, it was a best of one and everything, but he has that capability to just play out of his mind good. But then other times you'll look at him and maybe he's just been busy with school, maybe he's a little bit rusty or something, and you'll see him actually lose to players that you actually do consider a little bit beneath him or below him. And it really is just about the form that Semper's in. And I think right now he's actually looking to be in pretty decent form, so it may be a bit difficult for puCK to, even with his improvements in mindset, to take on Semper, as we've seen.
Yeah. Plus, there's something about the NA scene. I'm not as into it as I was, of course, 4 years ago, nothing compared to Fear Dragon here, but there's always this one thing about it. It always created really unique play styles, and people, I suppose. But sure, Korea had its, oh my god, actually I can't think of really weird names right now. Arthur, I was trying to think of Arthur. Korea has like its weird guys that still do good stuff. I mean, Gumiho kind of weird, but he obviously really talented player. And Europe has their weird players too, sure, that create their own builds. But it was something about NA. They would find something a little bit different in their play style, and they'd be like, "This is what I am," and they wouldn't really change it, which sometimes felt like a barrier to me.
It's so funny too, because like North America, we always talk. Like, I think it came up because I was filming a documentary on North American StarCraft players. And I was talking to people, and so I think someone actually phrased it really well. I was like, yeah, NA just has a lot of really unique playstyles. Like, we are the ones that own the guy that says, I cannon rush every single game on a non-barcode account, and I'm actually in GM. Like, who does that? Who actually does that? But Krintaf and North America.
Yeah, but it's like, it's not necessarily a dig, but it is something that I do sometimes feel strongly. Like, I look at a player that's like, well, I can get the next level if they want to. Of course, if they're a streamer, they're having fun, like, all well and good. But how do I get the next level? And sometimes just like, well, I don't know, like, stop doing 2-base all-ins, or stop doing mass playing soccer. You know what I mean? And I suppose everyone thinks I'm taking a dig at Poke Bunny for that, but I'm actually thinking of Clem, who's a European Terran and does a lot of 2-base attacks as well. So.
Yeah. I mean, actually relating this back to this particular game, as we do see Stargate with a Oracle going into Phoenix. This is actually something that we were talking about puCK's playstyle and how we really like such disruptors, and we're seeing that he's not really going for that as much. And that's one thing I actually really like about puCK lately, is that I wouldn't say that puCK is the kind of player who's saying, well, no, I'm not going to play my unique playstyle, but he's been willing to adapt in ways that suit him. He still finds whatever he enjoys about the game. Like, for example, you mentioned his Blink Stalker control. And he says, cool, I'm still going to base my playstyle around the way I want to play it, but it's not going to be this one-dimensional kind of play that maybe it was and sometimes in the past.
Yeah. Well, certainly adaptability in a tournament is like key, actually. You can be the better player, but if you can't adapt, then sometimes it doesn't really matter. You can't defeat a 2x, you can't defeat a 2x. So to see puCK actually going for something a little bit different here, not opening up with Blink, but rather going into, well, so Oracle's again, not really in a Phoenix. Okay, he does that looks like a Phoenix. But Phoenix Charge, I like seeing that. Of course, bit of an old school tactic if comboed with Resident Enclaves, but since Charge was buffed a while ago, you have people more and more, including this. I know Zest loves Charge more than Resident Enclaves.
Yeah, he has to make up for that one Nation Wars match where he never got it.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, puCK is also getting quite a few gateways. Anything too great? Going up to 9, I believe, which is one more than usual.
Yeah, maybe he is going to be looking to try and shut down a third or push out, especially since, yeah, like if you get up a large number of Zealots, he has been warping in pretty consistently. Pair that with Guardian Shield, pair that with some Phoenix in the air to push back those Medivacs and keep those Bioforces low and keep the stims costly. Maybe he could make something happen over here. He's been keeping a good eye on those Marines as well, making sure they don't just move out with those Medivacs.
Yeah. I really thought puCK was going to do something aggressive just because he does add on an extra gateway, although maybe he just didn't realize he had an 8th one already made or 7th one already made. And he didn't take his gases, you know, but he starts his pro production up again, just a couple more to get saturated the gases, and he does start his gases, and he starts Blink as well. So I guess no super aggressive maneuver. If he sees an opportunity, perhaps, if he had a Warp Prism, could be a different story, but without a Robo, yeah, it's very hard to be aggressive.
Yeah, the funny thing about puCK and his playstyle is that you very rarely ever see him just have a kill switch like someone like Peely might have. He's not the kind of player that would just go all out and say, okay, cool, I'm going to just come kill you right now. All cards on the table, like I'm all in. He always seems to have like some sort of transition in mind or some economic play behind whatever attack he's doing. And even right now, this composition looks very funky, but he's got a very secure 3-base economy. He's still made a few workers over there. He's getting up a Robo behind this, so he's looking to get some good damage done, but I think that he can fall back as long as he doesn't just take too one-sided of an engagement.
Yeah, I want to say the plan is still to fall back at the first sign it won't work. You know, like it's too many wouldn't mind, too many leverage. It's like, okay, back off. Because, as I said, he has all these other things going for him. You know, he did start Blink and Robo and even a Templar Archives now. But this is something that Semper's really got to respect. He scanned the 3rd base of puCK and saw the gases, saw the saturation. Still, you know, hasn't seen a Warp Prism trying into his main base or anything. So he might just, you know, be respecting it. But ultimately, he's waiting for puCK to realize I can't break him. And then that's when Semper can be aggressive himself.
Yeah, this does get a bit dangerous. We were talking about, I guess, like the massive number of Stalkers that puCK had in game number 1. Well, now it's just like this mass number of Zealots. And Zealots do well in low numbers, but as the game goes on, you do get into this pretty weird situation with Zealots where they kind of lose that effectiveness. They end up blocking each other and causing a lot more problems for each other than helping them.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the beautiful thing and the just, you know, frustrating thing, I suppose, about Twilight Council-based Protoss, I guess is the best way to put it, right? Like something that doesn't depend entirely on Phoenix or doesn't go straight into Colossus or doesn't go into Archon super quickly. You know, first you get the charge, then you get the blink, and then you get onto, you know, tier 3 stuff. But it's a blessing and the curse that, like, they really need to synergize. You know, you can go mass charge outs and try and hit them when they're not prepared, but if it doesn't work, then they're going to start failing after a while. You're going to start losing their drops and all that. You can go Blink Stalker, but they, you know, go off even worse than charge lots. You really need to get out charge lots in there. So in this case, while puCK did get Blink, he doesn't really bother getting Stalkers. You know, he's actually gone for more Phoenix, and he has Storms and Feedbacks for any Medivacs. And the Phoenixes might just be his answer to the Liberators. He's getting +1.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be too surprised to see him get a Fleet Beacon either. That's where he wants to go.
I think the one thing he's going to have to be a bit careful about are if Semper gets up a fairly large number of Widow Mines, which he's at 8 right now, definitely not too bad. The control is going to be incredibly important. This is something I know as someone who has Diamond League Protoss control. I lose all of my Zealots in this situation, but puCK is not me. puCK is actually a very good player. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how he's going to end up controlling this. So the Revelations are going to be very important. The Zealot run-bys are also a really nice touch over here at the 3rd.
Very annoying to deal with. That bunker, like, partially covers. So it's really annoying. Phoenixes do reveal themselves in that high number, take out a Liberator.
Yeah, I think he's gotten 2 Liberators, but losing a lot of these Phoenix in the process. Now down to just 4.
puCK did a great job clearing up the Widow Mines as well. It looked a little weird to see him like purposely storm them, but that's actually useful a lot of time. One is left over just because he didn't have Revelation on it. A huge EMP on a very vulnerable army to ghosts. A bit of a waste of minerals over here.
Oh god, if these High Templar are getting caught by the bio, a nice little pickup over here from Semper, segments off a few units to try and target fire them down, but those medevacs have got to get the hell out of there because they are all full on energy, which may sound great in one hand, but at the other hand, one feedback and they're all going to start going down.
Oh, I had to be very careful. The rocks were being broken down. Nice maneuvers from Semper. But as you said, like, he'll have to leave soon enough. The High Templars are playing it safe, I guess, way in the back there. There's finally some coming forward. But those would have been actually really great feedback. Feedback sometimes seems like oh, I didn't have enough energy spell. But sometimes it's perfect. You know, they're trying to build Liberators. They think they have enough medevac energy to deal with it for a while, and they all get slam dunked into destruction. It's a lot of trouble for the Terran.
Yeah, and especially since, you know, if you take a look, puCK doesn't really have that many Phoenix left over. He's only got 4, and he's still actually trying to make a few more to replenish the Phoenix he just lost, but trying to deal with this drop harassment that Semper is going for, he doesn't really have a good way of just diving on those medevacs and taking them all out, so some feedbacks may really be one of the helpful answers over here.
He seems very hesitant to feedback it. Like, he really just wants to depend on his Phoenix to take care of the medevacs, and I feel like he's missing out on big opportunities, not just for this temporary stage where he's being dropped, to get rid of medevacs, to get rid of drops, but also for the late game where Semper, tons of Terrans, Innovation even, has literally forgotten or not bothered to remake medevacs because he thinks that Liberators would be the way to go, you know, or actually just Liberators forgotten. It's a very powerful thing, and I thought puCK was going to do it there, but they're still alive and still kicking.
Well, you mentioned this before, 4 medevacs out and only Liberators being made right now for Semper, which is actually a little bit surprising since I think that Semper is one of the players that if I had to embody him in like a spirit animal unit for StarCraft, it would probably be the medevac. He's allows him to do such great positional play, to pick his opponents apart, to do that kind of late game harassment that he loves to do, and I think he's really well known for, but he's gonna have a hard time with just 4 of them, and he gets them all bunched up with the army.
The Liberators got caught. Luckily, puCK started warping in Stalkers, and they got blinked so long ago that he injured a ton of the Liberators.
Decent EMPs, knocking down the health on those Archons, but also catching one of the High Templars, I believe. So doesn't have much energy left over. These Stalkers blinking underneath the Liberators, pushing everything back. Semper going to try and force an engagement over by the choke point instead. He's
about to... Okay, the other ghost pops up here. Those High Templars have to be very careful. Oh my god, even more careful than that, please. Oh, jeez.
Wow, really good snipes. Picking off so many of those High Templars. How many are left right now for puCK? Looks like he still has 4 with his main army.
Walking in Liberators, not careful at all.
Yeah, okay. Big Zealot attack coming on the south side. Gonna get spotted by a Widow Mine that does take out one of those Zealots, and it looks like Semper's just gonna unload and potentially deal with them with some micro. No, he's actually just gonna circumvent them and go for that 4th.
That stim was awfully early, but okay, maybe he's gonna go for the 5th now that's on the way. puCK, unfortunate timing for him. Might not even get to cancel it. Oh, he does.
Oh, but puCK is actually just focusing on this attack over at the top side, or he was for a moment. Loses one Phoenix in the process, but takes out a Liberator. Gonna be going in for some of the other Liberators as the Stalkers all get underneath them, but oh man, okay, with Storms he can take this army out. Oh my god, this army is so battered and bruised.
But all those Storms died. I was wondering where the medevacs were, and boy, they were in the drops. He only had one medevac that is now dry, which is a very dangerous thing to do. These are dry as well, which in a way is good. No feedbacks to slam dunk them, but even he realizes that's an awfully stimmed army and makes 3 more medevacs. I think he also lost a lot of his Liberators, though. Yeah, he's down to 2, so it is a very important choice he's making here.
Yeah, both of these players' air armies kind of got obliterated during these engagements. Even puCK is only down to 2 Phoenix. But I think that we end up seeing these 4 ghosts really playing a huge impact, I think, on the fact that puCK has just been sticking around on Storm tech for so long and really relying on Storm and Zealots to take these solid engagements. But finally we see Tempest starting to come out to help deal with those Liberators. We see different forms of tech and even just more bases taken for puCK.
Yeah, in the beginning to mid-game, I thought he was going to maybe go for Phoenix upgrades because he had made so many of them, but Actually going into Tempest as the game gets longer and just dealing with the Liberators one by one, really, so that you don't have a 15-minute mark where they have 10 Liberators because there's been no engagements. Then you absolutely need Tempests. But Semper still has a 30 army supply lead. Looks like he's going to have an upgrade lead as well with 3-2 versus... Oh, no, that's 3-2. Just kidding. No, he's actually fine on the upgrades, but he's on his way to +2 flyer attacks, which is the important upgrade against Stalkers.
Okay, Semper getting some time to spread out his army a little bit. These ghosts are looking for some blood right now. They're looking for the juicy EMPs, but Photon overcharging these Stalkers alongside the mothership itself are actually going to make this really, really difficult. EMPs do reveal these units, by the way, but
Yeah.
Nexus goes down at the natural.
And it does. A couple of probes, too. That's a nice concave, and the High Templars aren't setting down their storms. There they go.
Oh!
Yay.
Those storms are pretty juicy right there, but is there actually enough behind it to clean up? I think all the Marines have been taken out, so the Marauders are getting taken out by the mothership.
Yeah, a couple Zealots that are cloaked as well. He's lost detection, and he's not picking up. He's not picking up, and it's because he's trying to deal with this attack over here. They broke down the supply depots. There are Liberators, though, and not too many Stalkers.
puCK just seems to have an overwhelming number of units on the other side of the map right now, taking out unit after unit, but at the same time, puCK is losing his 5th base, but DT is going to be able to clean things up. DT is a saving grace.
Man, he doesn't have +2 ship weapons. That would have really helped against these Stalkers. Well,
yeah. Liberators would have fared a lot better. For those who don't know, it allows these Liberators to two-shot the Stalkers. But looks like eventually Semper does push everything back. He loses a lot in the process, but he does still have his mining base over at the top center, whereas puCK, well, he actually kept his base alive as well, thanks to the DTs.
Yeah, that got all types of hairy for both players, you know. puCK, a couple of mismanagement of units here and there, and then Semper obviously losing one too many drops and not actually taking care of every single unit is now hurting him. He's an equal army supply. Looks like he might just be able to snipe this Nexus and get out, however.
Whoa, nice dodge on that storm. Doesn't really take too much damage over there. Taking out the Zealot as well. The Nexus will fall, and puCK abandoned ship, pulling all of his probes back. Looks like there's a couple of DTs in the main base of Semper, killing off a refinery. Not getting too much super useful damage done, but every little bit counts.
It's distraction more than anything, you know. Can't
Yeah.
keep this many units back at home because you hear the swipe of multiple DTs. Could be 3, 4, 5. Like, it's really tough. He's also had to deal with trying to get another base with that main orbital. The top right was denied. Now the next base he's tried is also denied.
So annoying. puCK is everywhere. That's what I love about these two players, is that they're both so aggressive and they both love just putting on the harassment constantly and throwing units at each other consistently. But 4 ghosts being made at a time, I guess that is one nice way to spend your big gas bank, Semper.
Well, they don't cost as much gas as they do minerals nowadays.
You know, that is true.
What are you,
Wow.
in 2013, Fair Dragon? Get out of here.
I don't know, man. I don't play Terran. I play
They're
Protoss.
200, 100 for anyone who hasn't, I guess not to make them. So I was wowing because I didn't think he had that much of a bank. puCK remaking 6 Zealots. No, not again.
Oh, another full energy High Templar going down.
4 of them. Oh my god. Because I was gonna say he has a mineral bank. He's actually been mining it things more steadily than Semper has in this game. So that makes sense. But Semper, that was like some of his last bank. But puCK doesn't have that much gas. So losing 4 High Templars like that, obviously a big no-no.
Now that I look at it, there are actually only 3 orbital commands. And like you said, both these players are really hurting economically. So these DT plays from puCK, I'm a huge, huge fan of right now, because using any scans on killing off these DTs is actually going to be really painful. But it draws them back into the missile turret.
I thought he was going to go for an EMP. He's like, nah, that ain't cost efficient.
Have you ever actually had a moment where you accidentally EMP your own orbital command because you were trying to like EMP some cloaked unit?
No, I haven't actually.
Because I go for a lot of mass DTs. I've made Terran players EMP their own orbital and then run out of scans. It's great. It's probably one of the best feelings in StarCraft.
Sure.
Okay, this mothership gonna recall like
army. She left her babies.
Okay, well the High Templars go down. Can puCK actually still hold over here without them?
I don't know. Those High Templars are pretty important, but then Semper moves into a position he can't micro out of, but his upgrades, the rest of his army actually might just be enough. It is enough. GG.
Semper wins game number 2, takes the 2-0, and qualifies for the offline event in Toronto, Canada. Congratulations to Semper, and well played to puCK. Really fascinating and super awesome series.
Yeah, that last game was especially great. The first one, it was like kind of wobbly from the start for puCK, I
Mhm.
think, with his composition being stalkers for so long. But that second one was kind of a nail biter.
Yeah, absolutely. But ladies and gentlemen, I think that we're going to be taking a short little break while we get our next series set up. Is going to be Peely versus Jim Rising to determine who is the second player that's going to advance in from the losers bracket to the offline event. Is it going to be a Protoss or is it going to be a Zerg player? Should be a fun and interesting one, but of course I want to give a huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors and make Kings of the North possible. I highly implore you guys to go check them out during the break. First of all, we have the wonderful providers of the DX Racer that I'm sitting in right now, Chairs for Gaming. Be sure to check them out and use the promo code ESCHAMP if you're interested in getting one of these chairs. And yeah, besides that, we also have Asus ROG. They provide all sorts of wonderful hardware that make Kings of the North possible, including laptops, you have PC components, etc. To your heart's content, feel free to browse over on the Asus ROG website. And of course, Matcherino, if you guys are interested in contributing to the prize pool for Kings of the North, as well as just the production costs, we have awesome stretch goals available. We have random things that you can actually effectively buy, like Kings of the North coins. We have mouse pads, we have t-shirts, hoodies, everything you can pretty much imagine. You'll find it over on the Matcherino page. You can type !Matcherino in the chat and also use the promo code KOTN4 to add $1 additional to your prize pool contribution. But of course, be sure to also type in !finals in the chat if you want more information on the grand finals that are going to be happening, these offline finals that Zombie Grub and I keep talking about in Toronto, Canada, where Zombie Grub is also going to be joining us this time, which I'm super excited about. That's going to be fun.
True. I guess cast last year. Now I'm here forever.
Yeah, there you go. You didn't blow it, Mrs. Premier WCS commentator.
Am I married to Mr. WCS commentator?
Oh yeah,
Mrs.
that was always some weird gender thing I never understood. Like, why doesn't Mr. have the same thing? Why does Miss and Mrs. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna hop to a short little break while we get our next series set up. You guys are watching Kings of the North.